There's a real cool club on the other side of town where the real cool kids go to sit around and talk bad about the other kids.
That's us.
Yeah,
We're the cool
cool club, and you're not part of it.
What's going on, everybody? Thanks for downloading the Voice of Bedlam podcast. Everybody's here today, the whole cast. So what's going on, guys? What's going on? What's going on, Chico?
I'm doing all right. It's Tuesday. Starts off, the wonderful week for me, but it's kind of gloomy out, man. So it's not feeling too great right now. But how about you, Sean? How's the parental life?
It's different, man. It's different, man. I hear with the weather, the rain, and all that stuff. I got to go to work like earlier in the morning, so going out to that in the rain, not so much fun. But I'm here to talk about football. I'm back. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it, man.
All right, we also got King Kojo Colin Johnson on the phone. What's going on, Colin?
What's going on, fellas? How we all doing today? Lovely Tuesday here.
All right, well, let's get things kicking. Let's kick off. How did I not remember that term, of all terms not to remember? But let's kick off this week's Daily Breakdown. All right, first up, Melvin Gordon reportedly had microfracture surgery on Monday. Now, according to the San Diego Union Tribune, Gordon underwent the procedure in January and was given a recovery timetable for 6 months. Gordon told the newspaper he didn't anticipate being limited in practice and said he's not worried about being available for training camp. So, so they're saying, I guess that timetable goes to June. So, that's next month. Do you guys think, coming off a microfracture surgery? He didn't do anything in his rookie year. He didn't score one touchdown.
No, he didn't.
So, what do you guys think is going to happen? Do you think he'll be ready, or what's going to go down in San Diego?
They got issues at the running game there. That's for sure. Melvin Gordon's got to step it up if San Diego has any chance to make any noise in that division, because that's a pretty tough division they got there.
Couldn't agree more. We've already went into that division a lot leading up to the draft. We all know how, and I'll agree that all three teams stand better than the San Diego Chargers right now. And this, does it hurt their chances? He was not even a productive player last year.
He had 100.
Even Melvin Gordon.
He had 184 attempts, 641 yards. Now, it's only 3.5 a carry. So that's pretty low average. At least he's not at like the 3.1, but no touchdowns. And this will be his second season coming out of Wisconsin. So
it really only, if you average that out, it really only means they were handing the ball about 10 to 12 times a game. So it's not even like he's toting the rock that much. So
that's true. Yeah,
maybe if they up his carries a little bit, maybe you see a little more production out of him, maybe naturally, but
I don't know. I think the way it works is he's got to get that production up, and then he'll get more carries.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. All right, but let's take a quick second here and tell you guys about our new sponsor, and that's BrazilianAmericanLove.com. BrazilianAmericanLove.com. It's a brand new dating site that's growing fast for anyone looking for that stunning Latina beauty. And now let's be real here. Who's not looking for a stunning Latina beauty? I'm just playing.
Some will be. Some will be.
On a more serious note, I met my wife, who I've been married to for 4 years, over the internet. And we have 2 kids, and we're happy. So head over to BrazilianAmericanLove.com now and get some romance in your life. But let's get things rolling again with the Daily Breakdown, talking about Sam Bradford showing up for workouts. What do you Eagles fans think about this?
I'll let Colin take the first part of this, and then I'll give my rebuttal.
I was an advocate for, on the outside of understanding of why Sam Bradford was holding out, but that doesn't mean that I didn't still kind of prefer it for him to stay away for longer and still have a chance of getting traded. Just because, Sean, aren't you, as an Eagles fan, just over it?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm tired of this Sam Bradford nonsense, because that's what it is.
All right, well,
It's dumb.
Bradford was quoted as saying, "I'm excited to be back on the field today with my teammates and coaches."
And of course he said that, though.
Yeah. Well, it's coming out of his statement. He said, "The business side of football sometimes is a necessary consideration. My intention and efforts are focused on participating in an preparation for a championship season. I'm committed to my teammates and the Eagles organization for nothing less." They started OTAs next week. They'll be starting OTAs.
Here's my thing on it. Like, I mean, I said a couple weeks ago, whatever it was, that I was for Sam Bradford coming back for this year. I mean, obviously, the Eagles went up. They went up and drafted Carson Wentz, I should say, and then Bradford gets all butthurt about it. Then he sits out, but he only sits out for, I don't know exactly how long he held out for. But then when it comes to voluntary workouts, he decides to just show up. Like, if you're gonna hold out, man. Like,
well, no, because now they got the rookie. He ain't going nowhere. Now he's got to prove that he's a teammate because he wants to be on the team.
That's what I'm saying. Like, going along with what Colin said, like, if he held out, there's more of a chance that a market would develop for him, because the longer he holds out, teams are going to be like, oh, well, we'll take him off your hands. You know what I mean? And with Sam Bradford playing this year, I mean, I think he gives the Eagles the best chance to win. But that being said, like, it's not like the Eagles are going to win the Super Bowl this year. So I'm done with the whole Sam Bradford thing. Like, I think it's time to just turn the page on Sam Bradford. Now, if he can play well this year, he can up his marketability, and maybe Denver will make a trade for him. Maybe even during like training camp or something like that.
Well, that's all still a possibility.
Because that's when especially if Carson Wentz plays well or shows that he can play well in training camps or even the preseason, maybe that's gonna up Sam Bradford's marketability, because the Eagles don't necessarily need him as much.
There's nothing really stopping, the trades going on until what? I think it was like October. I think is the deadline.
It's like week 7 or something like that. It's a long time.
So players don't get traded mid-season anymore, especially not players of that caliber.
Yeah, maybe not players of that caliber, but
I know Brian Bostic just got
saying
traded.
Sam Bradford is a high caliber.
That's not. Well, he's not. He wasn't.
Well, not that
I don't think he was a high caliber guy.
Not that he's a high caliber guy, but he's a quarterback. That's what it is.
Yeah.
He's a quarterback.
He's a skill position player, and teams out there need quarterbacks.
But I got a question for you. So, are either one of Bradford or Kaepernick, are either one of them not starting for the team they're currently on in Week 1?
I don't think so. I think both of them end up being the Week 1 starters in their respective cities.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I don't. I could kind of see that, but then I don't see Bradford having a full season ever.
Oh, no, I'm just talking Week 1. Will he be starting for the Philadelphia Eagles?
Yes.
Will Colin Kaepernick be starting for the Niners in Week 1?
Because as much as the Eagles put their gamble in their first round pick, unfortunately, the strew of decision making is going to, they're going to have to stick with the guy that they gave the most money to right away. You guys gave that big contract to Sam Bradford. You got him for a year. You get Wentz to understudy for that year and possibly learn the game. And he's going to have to, really pick up his I guess his transitional skills, because there's going to be a lot of things that are going to be changing, because he played at Division II, so he wasn't even playing against teams in pro systems, so
yeah, that's very
so now that transition is going to be even harder for him. So that first year, they're really going to have to redshirt him and really catch him up to speed.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, well, let's take a second here and tell you guys where you can see these professional athletes take the stage, and that's over at DirecTV, and you can get a hold of them at 855
NFL ticket
668-9061. That's 855-668-9061. They don't just have sports packages. You get everything when you go over to DirecTV.
So make sure you call them at 855-668-9061. 9061. That's DirecTV. Call them today.
We'll move right along here with today's daily breakdown and tell you guys Peyton Manning visited the Dolphins to mentor Ryan Tannehill. Peyton went to visit his former OC, Adam Gase, so there is a connection there. And he's trying to work things out with the first-year head coach and the, fifth-year pro in Ryan Tannehill. Anything gonna move with this?
I think, that's a great move, for Tannehill because, he has a lot more, as I said in previous podcasts, spots of brightness, and his gameplay at times is very bright. And then there's times that, he just throws that duck ball. And I'm like, all right.
Kind of like Peyton Manning.
Yeah, and everybody, everybody that's watched a Dolphins game knows exactly what I'm talking about, the duck ball.
Yeah, I mean, he played all 16 games last season, 586 attempts.
Whack.
586 attempts. 363 completions for over 4,000 yards, 24 touchdowns to 12 interceptions. He's got to get that ratio a little bit better.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? He's got to get that more to a 3-to-1. You know what I mean? But at least he's playing in all the games. If he threw for 4,000 yards, but they gave him such a big contract, and they gave it to him so early. Who was really worried about Ryan Tannehill getting swept away in free agency two years later?
Well, this is the new norm for the winnable. You can win with this guy.
But can they? What is Tannehill? Go ahead, though. Go ahead.
I think his quarterback rating in 2014 was 92.8. He had 27 touchdowns to 12 picks. So a year later, he has 200 more yards. He actually jumps up passing yards. His average per attempt is higher. The only difference is 3 less touchdowns, still 12 picks, and his rating was 88.7. It dropped 4 points, and yet, for some reason, Tannehill put up basically equivalent numbers 2 years in a row, and the league is trashing him, saying that he may be a bust, and this contract is already a bust. I think he's definitely still talented enough and has really shown that he's still continuing to learn and grow, and this might be a breakout year if that team comes together and any of these wide receivers show up to play. Devontae Parker turns into a next stud.
Here's an interesting question just for you guys. I'm just throwing this out there. That AFC East, obviously you got Tom Brady and the Patriots, but Tom Brady and Tom Brady's not going to be there much longer.
He's not going to be there for the first 4 games of the year.
That's for sure.
But they got Dom Grady to
Yeah, right.
Dom Brady.
That's a good plug right there for Facebook.com/warzone.nfl. You can see those posts there.
Yeah, boy.
check it out. Anyway, going back to my question. So, who after Brady, inevitably retires, who takes over in that division as you got Brady, and then you have a drop off at the rest of, no, I'm not talking about team. I'm talking about maybe Ryan Tannehill is actually turns into the best quarterback in that division, because you got, who do you got? You got Buffalo, you got Tyrod Taylor, and then
he's
in
a decent quarterback, though.
You got Ryan Fitzpatrick or Geno Smith.
Yeah,
nobody basically. You have nobody in New York.
Whoever it might be. So that AFC East, when Brady retires, could be up for grabs.
Yeah. Speaking of New York, your boy Odell Beckham Jr.'s cousin got cut from the Jets.
Oh, so, did he already?
Yeah. They were like, no, thank you. So there's only one Beckham in New York.
Did you see that dude though? That dude is jacked up.
Yeah,
jacked up. He looks like Odell Beckham on the biggest cycle of steroids ever.
Yeah, and I think they noticed that, and that's why they were like,
we're talking the Russian from Rocky. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. But honestly, Tannehill, starting in week 1 now with the suspension of Tom Brady for those first 4 games, the best quarterback starting in that division
very well might be
is Ryan Tannehill.
And maybe that could really set the stage for his season. Who knows? He was quoted as talking about meeting up with Peyton. It was really cool. A guy that had his career and is a living legend coming off a Super Bowl winning season. It was really cool cool just to be able to sit and pick his brain about things he's done in the offense. So he seems really excited about it.
Well, yeah, why not? Because you got somebody that, transitioned with the game, because think about, just when, we were playing, Madden, what was that? Madden 06, when the quarterback vision, remember?
Oh, God, I hated that. That was the stupidest thing ever.
All right, so that was the game that you had to focus on the importance of your quarterback and your quarterback's vision,
head.
right?
Yeah.
Then but before that, it was all about the running backs. You know what I mean? If you had the running back and you can power through, or you got the speedy back that can hit the corner, you were doing fine. It's just that transition, that way for us to understand that transition for Peyton Manning, because Peyton Manning's been in the league. He did 18 years, right?
Yeah.
So 18 years. Think about it. That's oh man, I can't even remember what I did 8 years ago, and so think about all the changing times, and it went through a decade, almost 2 decades.
Yeah.
And to have that wisdom, it's priceless, especially for somebody that's doing it now and still doing it.
Speaking of Peyton's wisdom, is he ever going to be a coach? He's got plenty of friends in the league.
I think he's gonna, of course he's gonna flex his muscle and become a coach, because.
So what are we talking about? An OC? He's got to have a job before he's an OC.
Coach or something.
Yeah, quarterback coach to OC.
Something like that.
Something in that transition.
If anything, I think he's gonna, enjoy this kind of I'm gonna work a little bit here, work a little bit there, and enjoy the retirement, because
it might be a couple years before you actually see him doing it.
Well, it's definitely too late this season. It's too late this season.
Oh yeah, most definitely it's too late this season, but it's gonna be interesting going into next season, especially for those teams that have a lot of people on the hot seat. Which not to interject too much, but we were talking about GMs on the hot seat a few podcasts ago, and you know what I was thinking?
Article up at sportstrends.com.
Yes, so thank you for the plug as well. But the one person that I thought was on a hot seat, in my opinion, is that we left out was Dave Gettleman for the Panthers, because the last few years, and I was thinking about it, and I was like, okay, he let Steve Smith go, okay, then you had the debacle with Greg Hardy.
That's not his fault, though.
You bring in those characters.
That's true. That's true.
I'm saying you're bringing in, you're bringing in the talent. You have to assume the responsibility for the talent. Yeah. So, then they let go of D'Angelo Williams, which he, is, doing awesome over there in Pittsburgh, because he proved out last year that he could fill in for Le'Veon Bell.
I got a question, though. These guys you were saying, they have been playing good, but they're also older and wanted a lot of money, and they have still continued to be injured. Steve Smith was doing all right, but he misses half the season every year. And I mean, D'Angelo Williams, he played good last year, but he didn't have to be the featured back because Le'Veon was in and out. So, I mean, did he really get rid of him too early? Is that what you... I mean, maybe...
I think so, because
he still wasn't going to be the starter until an injury.
Especially thinking about who we had Jericho Cotry as a wide receiver. When we had, what is this, Madden 2009 again?
What's going on? Madden drop. Hit us up, EA Sports.
Yeah.
Should be paying us.
Oh man, I know. I'm trying to get up on that. And I played every single one since Sega.
Dude, I swear, right? I could remember watching Madden commentate, and I heard him say, "Well, now, see, you got to remember, the team with the most points at the end is gonna win the game." And I was like, "What? Did he just tell me that the team with the most points at the end of the game is going to win? Is that what he just said to me?"
Usually, when the team that has the most points at the end of the game, usually wins the game.
Oh yeah, John.
It's Pat Summerall. What is that? Pat Summerall,
yeah,
right?
Summerall.
Yeah, Pat Summerall had a fifth of Jack Daniels underneath his thing. He's like, "Thanks, John," and he takes a nice big swig. See, when you got the ball and it's third down, and you
gotta convert.
and you gotta convert. You gotta throw the ball.
All right. Well, let's take a little trip over to Minnesota. But before we get there, we're going to tell you how you can take a trip to Minnesota. And you guys can hit up Ticket Software LLC at 866-853-3454. That's 866-853-3454.
Get those
now,
tickets today.
You guys can get tickets to 85,000 world events. All right, these guys can hook you up with everything. And if you're a Vikings fan talking about Minnesota, you might not want to miss this season because Adrian Peterson's talking Super Bowl, quoted as saying, "We are going to have a good chance to win it this year, win everything." He told this to Peter King over at Monday Morning Quarterback. Went on to say, sit back and watch. You can be like, I thought you guys were at least a couple of years away. Nope, you sit back and watch this year. So he's putting a lot out there. Young quarterback, Teddy Bridgewater. I mean, Stephon Diggs stepped it up a little bit, drafted a guy. I don't think they're necessarily ready. They could use a little bit more of an offensive line. Adrian Peterson is pretty much that whole team. What are you
talking about? They just got, which, I'm gonna, go more into the other person, but they got Stephon Diggs and they got the rookie, and they got targets now to throw to. All right, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe
it'll help their offense.
They needed. Teddy Bridgewater needed someone else to throw to. Kyle Rudolph was not the guy they thought he was going to be.
He was still putting up numbers
Very right
though
about
too.
that.
They drafted him to be like
their offense
and he was
is
not
completely dictated off of Adrian Peterson. If he's having a good game, they're having a great game. If he's not having a good game, then guess what? The Vikings are going to become one-dimensional.
Oh, absolutely.
They almost already are. Teddy Bridgewater's in there to do one thing. It's make sure that he gets the ball in Adrian Peterson's hands effectively and don't turn the ball over.
He better take advantage of this time because AP only got so much time left.
True.
You know what I mean? He's got to learn how to be a top-tier quarterback. It has to be done. He's got to take that step forward, in my opinion. It's the most opportune time for him to.
Yeah, this is going to be Teddy. Sorry, John.
No, that's fine. Go.
This is going to be Teddy Bridgewater and the Vikings' year to prove that they're actually. They're legit. I mean, they made the playoffs last year.
And took the division.
They did take the division. They got to prove that they're a legitimate contender in that conference this year.
But
not only the division, but the conference.
See, I argue the point this because everybody, and I'm trying to be, as fair in my thought process as possible, because think about the Packers. They had the Michelin baby running the football.
Fat shame.
Sorry.
That's all that was talked about on NFL Network.
I know. So I wanted to resurface it a little bit just because I know it just boils people's blood. But Eddie Lacy having an unproductive year and then everybody, calling him a chubby.
They're saying he cut down though. He's got muscle and he's gaining some speed. That's what reports are.
That's good.
According to McCarthy.
So good. And then not having Jordy Nelson, for being a target, but honestly, given that fact, not to pat the back of the Carolina Panthers too much, but think about how Cam Newton went out there last season and was throwing to who's that wide receivers and still got the job done. So we're sitting here talking about the possibility of the Vikings going to the Super Bowl because they got an extra target now. They got more targets, but it's like it all matters about who your general is and who's pulling the trigger, and if he can get and if he makes the right decision in the split second, because it's a game of split second decisions, and if you make the wrong one, it's a big turnover.
I kind of see this as AP kind of, I don't know what the phrase is for it, but I mean, he's like 30. I think he just turned 30 or something like that. Like he's
at the pinnacle of his career.
I want to say he's at the
tail end of his career. Last year?
He's at the tail end of his career, so he's
coming down. He's coming down off the hill.
I mean, he's been that guy for so long, but at the same time, he doesn't have much time in this league.
Is a year off non-injury going to help him though?
Well, who knows? I mean, he's still Adrian Peterson.
I think so.
I think
it preserves him for another year or two.
A top back in this league, but I kind of see this as him making a bold statement because he wants that ring before he retires because he doesn't have much time left in the league.
He's a first ballot Hall of Famer, but everybody wants that.
Don't you guys agree, though, if any running back is going to make it abnormally long in this league, it's going to be Adrian Peterson? Like, he's not even shown signs of slowing.
Well, I mean, he tore his ACL. He won comeback player of the year.
Yeah.
But he did tear his ACL.
I totally agree with you, Colin. Like, you haven't really seen a running back
ACL's no joke.
Who's on the wrong side of 30, still put up the numbers that Adrian Peterson is putting up now.
He's a freak. He's not a normal human being.
Probably still do it this year.
He's like Bo Jackson Jr.
Maybe even a couple years from now.
Hope so.
See, no one called that one though. No one called the Bo Jackson drop.
He's been a fun player to watch.
Inevitably, though, Adrian Peterson cannot.
That dude came back after a hip surgery.
So he wants that ring before he retires.
Everyone does. There's no doubt about it, and he deserves one. With the stats that he's been putting up.
Well,
he's been working.
Talking about retirements and older players, we're going to kick off this week's player card. All right, this week we're doing the player card, which is basically we get the name from the back of the trading cards.
I think my cat was over there, though.
We're gonna take a look over at Megatron's career. So, Sean, why don't you tell us a little bit about a legend in Calvin Johnson?
Calvin Johnson, the 6'5", 240 pound wide receiver.
Just call him fat.
Just call him fat.
Yeah, I did. Calvin Johnson, you're fat. Anyway, 2007, number 2 overall pick out of Georgia Tech, second behind only. Do you guys remember who was drafted first that year?
Oh, who was it? It was somebody. Wasn't
you know who it was? Kyle, tell me who it was.
Tim Tebow?
I don't know who it is off the top of my head.
It was Jamarcus Russell.
Jamarcus Russell. Hey, he's a wide receiver right now for Cleveland, right?
No.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah. Yes. Don't know me. Don't know me. I know what I'm talking about. You don't know me.
Is he really?
No, he's not.
Yo, you know. Yo, let me just tell you, you know me like you know me.
All right, but what's going on with Megatron?
He was actually drafted the highest a Georgia Tech Yellow Jacket has ever been drafted in the NFL draft. He got drafted in the same draft class as AP, as Marshawn Lynch, Darrell Revis, LaRon Landry, and Patrick Willis. Guy was a six-time
good draft class.
Yeah, 6-time Pro Bowler, 3-time first-team All-Pro from 2011 to 2013. 2-time league receiving leader in 2011 and 2012, second-team All-Pro in 2010, and an NFL receiving TDs leader in 2008. I mean, we talk about a guy who, for what he was, for who he played for, you're talking about one of the best receivers we've seen in probably our lifetime. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's one of the best.
Well, I mean, our lifetime is definitely Jerry Rice, Michael Irvin too.
But you're going back.
Jerry Rice.
All
right, so millennial.
The best quarterback in the last 20 years.
He's the best quarterback. Yeah, he's the best quarterback since like Michael Irvin retired.
Since that, yeah. All right, I got you.
His NFL. I'm going to start off with his college career.
Quarterback, though?
Wide receiver. He's the best wide. Yeah.
I meant wide receiver.
It's all good.
Georgia Tech. He was as a freshman. He's a first-team All-American in 2004. He was the ACC Rookie of the Year in 2004. ACC Player of the Year in 2006.
There you go, Megatron.
731 career receptions in the league. That's the NFL. 11,619 yards and 83 touchdowns. And he had a 9-year career, so that's little under 10 touchdowns a season. But that's coming up big. Like, you're talking about it.
Playing in Detroit.
Yeah, playing in Detroit. When he was drafted in 2007, John Kitna was the quarterback.
Wow.
Yo, John Kitna he had a cannon. It wasn't accurate, but he had a cannon. John Kitna had a cannon. Yeah, but with him, all you needed to do was just get the ball out towards him, and he would have caught it.
That brings up an interesting question.
What was he, 13-foot wingspan?
I'm going to go off topic just a little bit. Do you guys think the
quarterback is the receiver,
or does the receiver receiver make the quarterback? Because I've had
It's different all the time. You look at Culpepper, that's all wide receiver. That is
Dante
all
Culpepper
wide
played-
receiver.
True.
In 2008, Dante Culpepper started for the Detroit Lions. That was kind of like Calvin Johnson's coming out year. I forget. I don't have his stats in front of me from that year, but Dante Culpepper actually played for the Detroit Lions in that year. You remember that?
I didn't know that off the cuff. No.
They also had a guy by the name of Dan Orlovsky.
Oh,
Is
yeah.
that-
Yeah, I know
you guys
it, yeah.
remember?
Orlovsky.
They had 3 starters in Detroit that year. Talk about
I would have. I was about to say before he got the young buck. Well, he's not so much of a young buck anymore. You know, he was battling a carousel of terrible quarterbacks.
Before Stafford.
Yeah.
You know,
until
but
Stafford
except although I think John Kitna was a decent quarterback. You know, he
No, Kitna was. Kitna had a nice little career for
yeah,
himself.
well, because he,
floating around.
in
He was not good. He
Cincinnati
wasn't good in
and all
Detroit,
that. Yeah,
no.
yeah, he wasn't good in Detroit. You're right, but they didn't have any protection for him, if I remember. Because obviously I remember him.
I
playing
can't
for
believe we're
Detroit.
talking about John Kitna for this long, to be honest. But
in 2008, that was the year that the Lions went 0-16.
I remember watching John.
oh, was it?
Yeah.
That was the year, huh?
But getting back to Calvin Johnson, he was regarded as the best player in the draft. Obviously, he wasn't taken first overall, but a lot of
Jamarcus Russell.
Yeah, ESPN had him as the best athlete they'd
Jamarcus
seen.
is still playing.
The best athlete they'd seen
He's
come
a
out
wide
of the draft
receiver
in a
now.
long time. Obviously not drafted as such, but he had a 4.3 340, an 11-foot broad jump, and a vertical of 43 inches. I remember Calvin Johnson. I mean, he only played the Eagles a couple times in his career. I want to say a handful, but I can remember him making plays like literally keeping his toes,
Getting over people.
his big toes inbounds and reaching out and grabbing a pass with his fingertips, which is why when I brought up that question, does the quarterback make the receiver or vice versa? When it comes to guys like Calvin Johnson, he makes the quarterback.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
You're talking about
Heck yeah.
acrobatics.
See, I think
Talk about number Madden drop now. If we're counting, guys, I'm sorry, Madden drop
That's
number
3.
3 right now because Madden 13 cover. You know, he's out there. He's there. He's got his hands out there and he's catching the ball. And not only that, man, I'm gonna have to see if I still have that now because
think-
now that he's gonna be a Hall of Famer.
Oh yeah.
He's definitely a first ballot Hall of
See,
Famer.
I think one of the best memories, not memories, but it's going to go down as one of the famous NFL pitchers, just like Y.A. Tittle on his knee from that back shot, is going to be when Megatron
From
was
that
playing
back
that
shot.
snow, when Megatron was playing in that snow game. Do you know what I
Against
mean?
the Eagles?
And,
Oh,
against the Eagles. And he lifts
Oh,
up his
that's
helmet
nothing.
and he's
Clinic.
completely covered
Colin
in
was
snow.
at that game.
I was at that game.
Oh, you
I
were?
watched LaShawn
Dude,
McCoy go off for 250.
when you buy like an NFL book, you know, with the like high gloss photos and all that, that's going to be in there forever. That was such a great NFL photograph.
Going back to Megatron, he had the most yards in a single season with 1,964. Anytime a receiver puts up close to 2,000 yards in a
Who's going to do it? Who's going to put up 2,000 yards first? Love
He only
that
had 5
question.
touchdowns that year with it.
2000 first.
Who's getting Megatron's the closest? Who's doing it first? Who's hitting 2,000? Is it who is? Come on, is it Odell Beckham? Is it D-Hop? Is anybody? Is there anybody?
Antonio Brown.
Evans,
Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown. Yeah. You might be right with that. There you go, Colin.
I hate it. He's a Steeler, but I like it because he's on my fantasy team.
He is,
I like it because he's on my fantasy team and I know he scores a lot of points.
Calvin Johnson is tied with Torrey Holt and Marvin Harrison with 21,600 yards receiving for his career. I'm sorry. Yeah, 21,600 yards receiving for his. I'm sorry. I'm reading that wrong. He's tied for second. He's tied for second with Torrey Holt and Marvin Harrison for 1,600 yards receiving in a season. He did that twice, I believe. I can't read my handwriting anymore.
Oh, man.
Most consecutive 100-yard games with 8. Most consecutive with at least 10 receptions in a game with 4. Most 100-yard games in a season with 11, tied with Michael Irvin. Most receiving yards in a 5-game span with 861. fastest to 10,000 yards in 115 games, fastest to 11,000 yards in 127 games, and just a little note,
man.
the Lions, he set a franchise record for the Detroit Lions with 16 touchdowns in 2011. That was by far, I think, his best year. And does everybody remember that game he put up a few years ago against the Cowboys when he caught 14 passes for 329 yards?
Yes, I do.
Oh,
Wasn't that Turkey Day?
Was that a Thanksgiving
I
game?
believe it, what?
he
think that was
definitely
a
had
Turkey
3
Day
touchdowns
game.
last Turkey Day. I remember that.
Yeah, it was against the Eagles.
It was.
Yeah.
All right.
Because if I'm not mistaken, yeah, because he just, because he always shows up on Thanksgiving.
That's going to wrap up this week's player card. So before we get into this week's
4-minute hut.
we're going to tell you guys about Cure Debt. Hit up Cure Debt at 844-255-6458 for all your debt consolidation needs. You guys need to go there, straighten out your credit so you can get that new car, that new house, whatever it is.
And not
that you
pay so
need.
much on the interest.
Absolutely. Get that credit score up and that interest score down. With Cure Debt at 844-255-6458. All right, let's rock it in with this week's
4-minute hut.
But what?
4-minute hut.
All right, we are going to do predictions for offensive and defensive rookie of the year. Each one of us has 2 separate people we're going to try and make the case for. I'm going to get things rolling here, and I'm going at the easy fruit. I'm going at the low-hanging fruit, and I'm going to say Ezekiel Elliott. I hate it for the Dallas Cowboys will be the 2016 offensive rookie of the year. All right, so I mean, it's hard. I mean, we've been projecting on these guys all off season, but I mean, these guys have yet to take an NFL snap. So I think we're going to be throwing out names there. I got to stop hitting my microphone. We're going to be throwing out names there, but. All right, so you got Ezekiel Elliott, 6 foot, 225 pounds, only 20 years old. Now, he was on that Ohio State Buckeye championship squad right there. But, I mean, he had 592 attempts in college, almost 4,000 yards, averaging 6.7 a carry. You're going to have him behind the reincarnation of the Great Walls of Dallas with Dez on the outside and Ezekiel Elliott, or Tony Romo, playing QB.
Yeah.
I mean, he has one of the best opportunities in the league, in my opinion.
Yeah, just to save you, some time. He was one of my 2 because realistically, looking at the offensive line that is there, and the fact that he's going to be sharing carries with Alfred Morris.
I don't know about that part. Maybe
What?
a little bit.
What do you mean? They're sharing carries.
Yeah.
I don't
Alfred
know.
Morris
Dude.
is a backup.
Did what's his name?
You're talking about a really solid 1-2 punch there.
I don't.
So,
yeah, maybe.
It's
so
not
with
like
those
Alfred
2 running
Morris
the
is-
ball,
it's not-
He's been downhill for a little bit now.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
he's
because he was
been
playing in
downhill, but-
Washington.
Yeah, but let's think. But I mean, if Ezekiel Elliott's going to be everything that people are saying, Alfred Morris.
if that
is
offensive
2.
line is like everybody's saying, you
that's
can
part of the
put my
reason.
grandmother at the running back position for the Dallas Cowboys, and they would make a lot of yards.
I mean, what did they come up 40 yards shy collectively of what's his name? Dude that went to the Eagles, the running back McCoy. DeMarco Murray.
Murray.
They only came up like 40 yards short or something like that on his total for the year.
But honestly, they're going to have a nice punch. They're going to have Alfred Morris be more kind of like a fullback, in a sense, that goal line running back.
2-back sets.
And then Elliott be that quick guy.
Ooh, I don't know. I think I'm in a different direction with this Cowboys offense than John and Sean are. I don't know. I don't see the...
Because they got Dez, and that's it.
When you got 2 guys in the backfield like that, I mean, Alfred Morris is no...
They got Jason Witten.
Alfred
You got
Morris
something
is no
things done.
slouch.
Yeah, okay.
Let's be
He's not
real
running
about
like
it.
he used
Oh,
to.
absolutely. I'm just saying he's a number 2. It's not 1 and 1A. It's 1 and 2. That's what I think. And if it's not, I don't see Ezekiel Elliott
You're
running the
putting
rookie
a
of
lot
the
of
year.
stock in a rookie, but I guess I hear you.
Yeah, I mean, dude, he had... How many touchdowns did he have? 43 touchdowns, 23 last year, 18.
Is he more hyped
That's
up?
college, though.
Yeah, I know, but
We're talking, There was how about
talking rookie of the year. I'm
Vince
talking
Young?
rookie of
How
the
about Vince Young? He was awesome in college, and he was putting up
Yeah,
hella numbers.
but
And then
went
when
to
he
the
came
Titans,
to
he went to the Titans. Ezekiel Elliott
okay.
is going to an oiled machine.
hella.
He's going to an oiled machine. I hate talking about the Cowboys this much. Colin, who you got for your offensive rookie of the year?
I was leaning towards, if not Ezekiel Elliott, who I also,
Yeah, I definitely
put
grabbed the
money on it,
low-hanging
I'd be
fruit.
Going with him. I'm looking at the best offensive player that was talked up the last several months leading up to this NFL draft, Laramie Tunsil.
Oh, going with the old lineman.
Why not? He was talked up the whole time. Besides, if you would take the quarterbacks out of the equation, obviously they draft for need. Laramie Tunsil is always the biggest offensive name.
So how many? My question.
But it's hard for
My
an
question is,
O-lineman
how
to
many pancakes does it take to get to get a yard?
Honestly, it's not those little offensive stacks. The only stat that really matters is how he provides room for the running back, who is
and how he protects
who is this, Ajayi now they're going to probably stick in there. So maybe his offensive stats won't bring Tunsil out, but if Ryan Tannehill stays on his feet, that sticks out.
I hear.
Absolutely.
I hear.
Absolutely. We're talking with, at the same time, like Tannehill maybe being able to steal the stage a little bit in that division with Brady being suspended. If that is to happen, they're going to be looking at Tunsil also. That's a good point.
I feel that way as well.
Yeah, I was like, it's like the big delay right there, guy. What's up? He's like, whoa, man, I don't know how I want to answer that one. But I guess we'll keep this moving. The one guy that I have for offensive rookie of the year, we just mentioned the team, the team leader, basically calling his home run shot, saying, I have high hopes for a Super Bowl.
Oh, Teddy Bridgewater.
So, Laquan Treadwell, and he's going to have a phenomenal year. So yeah, I can see him walking away with the crown, because especially with the pass heavy trend that's going on with the NFL right now, he's gonna be able to get a lot of time, and he's gonna get a lot of targets, because Stephon Diggs and him on the corners now.
See, I don't know, though. I agree he's got the talent for it, but Minnesota's very run-heavy. So I'm not saying he won't have a good year, but he might not have all that many attempts. Do you know what I
Exactly.
mean?
So when those corners are stepping up for them to be aggressive, to run stop, they're going to get beat.
Use the run to open the pass. Yeah, there you go. But
So, I honestly see Laquan Treadwell being offensive rookie, and just on that simple fact alone, that, they made it work last year, and they took the division, and AP is, feeling himself, and he's feeling his team. So I think that is going to carry through. So another repeat for division leader.
There we go.
all right. Sean, who you got taking home that R.O.Y?
Well, I did have Laramie Tunsil as well, but if I had to say somebody off the top of my head,
Well, I told you about this hours ago, so I don't know why you have to say something.
I didn't know that Colin was taking Tunsil. That's why.
I told
He had
No,
two.
no,
He had Elliott and Tunsil.
had two,
See.
Colin, so don't give me that. Don't give me that.
I
Cotton,
gave
please.
two.
He gave two, Tunsil and Elliott.
You want Tunsil
He
next
had
time? You got to go
Tunsil and
first.
Elliott, and then he had Miche and other dude.
Other dude.
The
The other dude. Other dude.
In our
Serious
extremely
football player. He's gonna
explicit
turn heads.
group text meetings we have.
I know,
What
right?
I will say though is, I'm not gonna say this, like for realsies, but
For realsies?
But,
What? Yo, we are dropping some like crazy like drops. I say hella, and you're like, yo, we're trying to reach out to the millennials like hella hard today.
realsies,
For realsies, guys, all right?
for realsies though.
Yo, pass me a yoo-hoo.
I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna say that the kid out there in LA is gonna win the quarterback or win the
What?
quarterback win the rookie
You going
of the
with the
year.
number
Jared
one?
Goff?
Jared Goff and the LA Rams better hope that he has a good season this year, because you traded up really far to go get your poster boy out there in LA. So you got a lot riding on him. There's a lot of pressure on Jared Goff to be that.
I think he can handle it. He was
No
at
doubt
Cal.
about
He was at Cal. Is not a
Yeah, but they had, what do they have, like 5-6 wins this year though?
yeah.
Like Cal's not like, you know.
So you're gonna see how he
things
bounces
up.
back. That's the real test of people. Like, you can win all you want, but then when you come back,
he doesn't
and
have to
that's
come
what
back. He's a number
and that's
one
and that's what
overall pick.
Cam Newton's gonna have to prove. What kind of person he is, because after that loss in the Super Bowl, he's gonna have to prove what kind of player he is going into next year. Just like now how Jared Goff, coming off that poor season last year, he's gonna have to step up and transition to a new kind of game.
All right. So everybody good on the offensive rookie of the year?
Yeah, boy.
All right. Well, we'll keep the 4-minute hut.
4-minute hut.
The 4-minute hut rolling and jump over to the defensive side of the ball. John, who you got taking that?
Honestly, I think
Defensive rookie
it's really easy, and just because I don't want to keep everybody's time, because I know that everybody's time is precious. All right, I know your time is precious. It's gonna be Jalen Ramsey, and if anybody's gonna argue with me,
I'm gonna argue.
I'm
gonna argue.
Yeah, see, I already started confrontational. It's like if anybody want to argue with me, because just look at the roster. They have, the most experienced person is Prince Amukamara, and that's So exactly, he's going to get a lot of playing time, and not only that, he's going to be going up against two of the top wide receivers at practice every day.
He's got to go against D-Hop and T.Y. Hilton in the division there, so he's got a chance to really prove himself.
Exactly. He's going to...
Yeah, but when he goes up against D-Hop, he's going up against Brock Osweiler.
Correct. So he could have. That's what I'm saying. He could have the career starter that that people expected out of him.
It could be a potentially good rookie year for him, because he's not walking into like a monster division.
And don't forget,
right.
he was also used as a safety as well. So he knows that field. He knows where to be. He knows where to be to make a play on the ball.
Right.
And
he's not afraid to hit.
And yes, and that's the other thing. He is not afraid to hit. That was going to be my follow up, because you got to.
You don't really see too many corners that
want to tackle.
Like Ed Reed. Ed Reed's the last one that I think of. Like when you think of a corner that can hit.
Like a dying breed out there.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
That's all about health.
But it's all about health, but it's also about the possessions. I don't want you catching that ball. And I think Jalen Ramsey's going to have a really good year this year, especially down there in Jacksonville, which Jacksonville, of all teams, is now stepped up, to this, you could almost arguably talk about, a lot of these guys in Jacksonville being, on this list for, offensive and defensive, not so much for the offensive rookie of the year, but, at least for, all team, because they're stacked on both sides of this ball.
They're definitely making moves in Jacksonville.
There was another person, though, that, I saw that came across the blip over here.
Oh, that's right. I went, and I got to argue with you, because I truly believe this. Miles Jack out of UCLA will be the defensive rookie of the year. Now, the only reason why Miles Jack fell down to the second round was because of that knee. Everybody's concerned about that in the future. Now, he only played a couple games last year, but he seems to be all right for right now. And we're talking about rookie of the year, and this kid can be a Pro Bowler at 5 different spots, can play offense and defense. He was named the top freshman in college football in the Pac-12. All right, he received honors in both offense and defense, and he won another defensive award for the Pac-12 in 2014.
Yeah.
I mean, they're gonna have him play an outside linebacker, but he can play safety, he can play running back. He's
an athlete that is
he
explosive.
Attacks the ball. He attacks people. He's a hard hitter.
You say he can play running
speed.
back? He play running
His football IQ is through the roof, and and obviously, other than the knee injury, which it is a substantial thought, but also think about Big Ben, when he had his knee injury, I think it was that like 6 or 7 years ago.
I don't know. Big Ben's always injured to me.
Yeah, he's always hurt. But like he had that big one, the big knee injury when he had to come back and wear the big old brace. I think that was about like 7 years ago. So he's still playing. So obviously,
Plenty of people have had microfracture surgery.
Exactly. So we've, a lot of advances and a lot of the surgical advances that they made now with the incisions are even smaller, so that recovery time is even sooner.
All right, now he played 13 games his first 2 years, only played 3 last year, and had 9 tackles and 6 assists. But if you look at his college career, he's got 117 solo, 61 assists, 15 for a loss. All right, now he's not big with the sacks. He's got the 1 sack, 4 interceptions, and then 111 yards off them 4 interceptions with 4 fumbles to go along with.
He's gonna be doing a lot of coverage. I think I don't see him.
Oh, he can do it. You don't mind him playing in that nickel.
Yeah, exactly.
You do not mind him playing in that nickel at all.
So I see him in cover. Adjusting well in
You think we can compare him to Luke Kuechly?
I don't know. I have to see him on an NFL field. Because
I hear you.
Because Luke Kuechly is like one of those players that you see 59 on the left side of the field, and then the ball goes all the way to the other side. And then the first person making the play is number 59.
But I'm saying I think that could be Jack.
Yeah, I think that could be him as well. But like I said, before, and everybody has said plenty of times that that transition to the pro game. I have to see you on a pro field in order to evaluate you as a pro.
Absolutely not. We have to evaluate them through the whole entire thing of the draft. John, were you not evaluating players?
I was evaluating and evaluating. I've even evaluated myself at times and
did a little soul searching.
Yeah.
I hate doing the draft. I hate it. I'm sorry.
I don't really hate the draft, but sometimes
I don't hate the draft. I hate doing articles and shows on it. I hate covering the draft.
Why? It's honestly, for me, it's kind of like the graduation party for the players I watched in college. It's like, oh yay, I remember you. Hey, you made it. Good job, everybody. Moment of silence, cause he made it.
This is John Travolta over there.
Hey.
Right, Sean, who you got taking the honors on defense?
Well, I'm gonna ask Colin. Do you have Joey Bosa?
Joey Bosa?
You have Joey Bosa?
Nah, I have another name if you want to talk about Joey Bosa.
All right, Sean, you take Joey Bosa.
I got Joey Bosa.
Yeah, go ahead.
I got Joey Bosa.
Yeah.
Really thought out picks. Worked hard on this guy.
Wow, we went top 10 almost.
Yeah, I got the big defensive end out of Ohio State, the national champions. I mean, you're talking about a guy. Defensive ends, I think, is kind of like, I don't want to say they're undervalued, but like a defensive end is. You guys are looking at me weird.
There's no way a defensive
Yeah, exactly. That's why I was like, what?
Because I mean, in this draft especially, it was mostly defensive tackles, but a pass rusher is, it's like the bread and butter of your defensive front.
Well, it's the front line.
One of the core 4 positions.
It's the front line.
You got your cover corner, your pass rusher be the defensive end or linebacker.
Who's the first person that's got their eyes on that ball before it snapped?
The defensive end, you're right.
So, they're gonna they dictate where that play is gonna go. If they put that pressure on it, they control exactly where that quarterback goes and where that ball goes. Because if you cut off that edge, what are you gonna do? You're either gonna take the hit,
and you create havoc for the quarterback, which in turn makes it easier
on the corners.
And especially now with these offensive linemen that they can't do the chop block, and now they're going to be more mindful of these chop blocks. So now, these quick quick defensive ends coming off the edge, you're going to have a hard time getting your hands on them.
Maybe I'm talking a little bit out of my ass because the Eagles have devalued.
Thank goodness it's not that big.
And over the last couple of years. But I mean, as a freshman, Joey Bosa, he started 10 of 14 games, he had 44 tackles and 7.5 sacks. In his sophomore year, which is his last year before he entered the draft, he finished with 13.5 sacks and 55 tackles. So you're talking about a guy who is going to create turmoil for a quarterback, and you're talking about a guy who's coming to the AFC West, where your quarterbacks and your offensive lines are not top. Not really the cream of the crop in the NFL. You're talking about, guys like Mark Sanchez and Alex Smith and a young guy in
Derek Carr.
So
Derek Carr's awesome,
So-
and not only
Yeah,
that,
I like Carr.
yeah, Derek
But
Carr's
he's not.
awesome.
But he's not there yet.
Yeah,
you
you're
know what I
right.
mean?
Yeah,
He's not a star.
Until this year.
Yeah.
Okay.
You might be right about that, man. I'm not going to take anything away from that. But yeah, I mean, Joey Bosa, who was still left on what I had to pick from defensively, I'm gonna say Joey Bosa goes out there and definitely makes some noise on that defensive front for the San Diego Chargers.
I agree with the Bosa pick because only slightly, although I think he's gonna land in like 4th place, honestly.
So you don't even think he's going to be top 3?
In the running for that defensive, yeah, he'll be in the top 5 running because especially the Chiefs. The Chiefs got Alex Smith, and Alex Smith, other than I don't see him doing too well these next few years. So that going forward, as long as he puts himself into a good position against that, he's got 2 games in his pocket to put up some stats.
I don't know.
And then not
Chiefs
only
are a good team. They're a boring team, but they're a good team.
I don't know. Yeah. And if you can stop their run game, you stopped everything.
Well, yeah, I mean they went a whole year not throwing a touchdown pass to a wide receiver.
Correct.
So
So if you stop that run game, they have no game. So, and Bosa's pretty quick. So if anybody would be like Luke Kuechly, I would see him, kind of being like that guy, just because of how he attacks the ball with like this, like kind of like Bobby Boucher mentality.
my mama said, Mister, it's okay to fight back. Mr. Coach Klein said I could.
But honestly, he's gonna have his hard times against them Raiders because that offense now is starting to really shape up, and but other than that,
Kick it over to Colin.
Yeah, Colin. Who else can you choose?
See, now, while you guys chose the sexy picks and the top 5 overall grade, talent, individual-wise, I was looking at, honestly, the thought came to mind because did you all see the story today where Bruce Arians has been quoted as saying that Robert Nkemdiche is killing people already? Because that is a headline I saw today.
Yeah, he told him to tone it down.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he told him to tone it down.
Not like hearing that.
Oh, heck yeah. But no, because
It says he was killing people in walkthrough. I had to slow him down. It's a walkthrough, and he bench pressed a lineman.
I heard that part. I heard that. Yeah, I heard that.
So that coupled with the fact that, while your guys' players were highly, or at least more highly rated coming off the board, Jack fell to the 2nd round, but the other guys were top picks. They're joining teams who had poor defenses, at least last year, and obviously, teams like Jacksonville have done a lot to improve their defense, but Nkemdiche is joining already top 5 defense there in Arizona.
Yeah.
They kind of play that kind of smash mouth football in that division, so that's 6 games right there. We're talking, that defense the 49ers league used to have their identity as being, but obviously the Seahawks. And he's going to have the opportunity to join an already effective defense, and just being around higher talent, I expect him to really be a standout player. Plus the fact that he's killing people at practice. That's just the kind of motivation you want out of a kid coming out and see if he can let it out on the field.
See that?
Yeah, he's definitely like icing on that cake of a defense over there. It's like it's so sweet that you're like, oh man, dude, like I wish I had that defense. Like, but well, as a Panthers fan, I go, well, yeah, we we have that defense, but
Me too.
but
The Eagles are hoping for it this year.
yeah, well, you guys got a lot of decision-making problems. So I should say
not on defense,
The problems with your decision makers is that it seems like they wanted to correct too many problems. And just like when you're working on a home project, and you're trying to fix up your house and make it look nice, you got to start room by room. You can't just tear up the entire house and make it unlivable just because you want to change everything around. You got to start with one room, finish that room, work on the next room, because you can't hope that the foundation that you poured out is going to settle. And you guys, it seems like they're just haphazardly making those decisions. So I think once they find somebody that is a decision maker that understands that philosophy of fixing an area and then moving on to the next area, I think you guys will be just fine, because the division, it's always up in the air in the East, in the NFC East. You could always argue for any of those teams.
Waiting for Tom Brady to retire in the NFC East right now. Eli Manning and Tony
AFC
Romo are
AFC,
getting up there. Yeah, relatively to that one.
Con, you got anything else on your pick?
I think the most interesting thing, I was looking at the last year's Defensive Rookie of the Year, was Marcus Peters, drafted 18th overall to the Chiefs. And I just think that's the kind of backs up my argument saying that, it's not necessarily the highest rated defensive player coming out of the draft. It's coupled with joining a successful defense that was already existing in the NFL. So I thought that was kind of interesting to see too.
In my defense, it sounded like Jalen Ramsey is a homer pick, right?
There's no
because honestly, like I mentioned, though, the next person that is most seniored would be Prince Mukamura, and he just joined that team. He just came.
There's definitely something to be said for having multiple high opportunities.
So he's gonna. I really think that he's going to be able to hit the ground running and do well there. So as much as it sounds, it's because it seemed like, it seemed really easy, right? To be like, oh, well, boom. Well, but no, I did exactly what you did, Colin, and was looking at these players and going, all right, who fits? Who's going to be able to go in day one and get work done?
That person is Miles Jack.
And then because I almost went with Nikum DJ as well, because I heard that report and I was like, yo, if that dude is, is beasting on people like that already, he's going to, do big things. So, right now, I think, honestly, I feel really good about all of our picks. One of us is going to be right.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, these are kind of, all right.
Those four, too.
But, I guess that's going to wrap it up for this week. Had a blast hanging out with you guys for the past hour. Glad Colin could hang out on the show. Thanks to Mary Jane letting this one get away from the baby for a little bit. John. He's the man on the mic and the board. But before we get out of here, got to remind you guys to go over to voiceofbedlam.com. Click on the featured articles page. Check everything out there. Go over to sportsrants.com. NY Giants Rush. Hit us up, #VOB. And please subscribe on YouTube. We'll catch you guys next week. For John, Sean, and Colin on the phone, we're out of here.
Yeah, not only that, rest in peace, Lemmy. But think about that rockin' band that's going on up there. You got, Dimebag Darrell, and you got Lemmy on the bass.
I want to go to a bar and say, let me get a Lemmy.
Jack and Coke.
Yeah.
So everybody, in honor of the man, order a Lemmy.
All right, guys. We'll see you later. Thanks for downloading.
Double up or quit, double strike or split, the ace of spades, the ace of spades. I'm going to lose, gambling's for fools, but that's the way I like it, baby, I don't want to live forever.
All right, how's everybody doing out there today? Thanks for tuning in to this special edition Voice of Bedlam podcast. If you want to take that next jump with your business or company, you need to come over and advertise on the Voice of Bedlam podcast. Get your ad heard by thousands on a reoccurring basis. Just click buy now and send us your info. Thanks a lot, guys.